And again, thank you for coming. I know that this does show interest and concern in Bloomington about the street improvement bond. First of all, we have this green brochure, and there's a great deal of information in here. It shows the street improvements and how these street improvements will improve the traffic flow, and also how these street improvements fit into our long-range plans. And I know that Iris and other council members have emphasized that we need to address how these improvements fit our overall plans and how they fit our long-range plans, our long-range plans, our long-range plans, our long-range plans, our long-range plans.
Well, the whole basically what I think is that for one thing, it's going to be very expensive, and by being property tax, it's going to affect lower income people more as property tax is passed down through rents. People who are renting, and particularly in the downtown area, I think it's going to cause problems for people who have to walk, which I live near there, and I have to walk across 3rd Street regularly in Atwater. I don't have a car. Particularly in the area 3rd and Atwater, where there's a lot of student traffic, is going to cause those streets are already very hard to cross for pedestrians, and that's going to cause major problems by bringing in more traffic, trucks, semi-trucks, and this and that. I think what would speed up traffic more in those areas and make the whole area safer is to have overpasses for pedestrian overpasses that would help create less of a hazard for pedestrians and help speed up traffic where all the students go across 3rd and Atwater. Well, I think it would be more important to encourage pedestrian, traffic rather than car traffic, because of and with pollution problems today as they are, we should try to concentrate more on people using either public transportation or bicycles or just walking from here to there within the downtown area. The type of businesses that from out of town that this might attract, I think, will be a drain on the local economy by taking money out of the area here and away from smaller businesses and local businessmen. Tax that's going to be used to pay for it, the property tax, is going to create higher rents for people living in the local area, which is going to diffuse the people who work in the downtown area, make them move more towards the outskirts of town. And for those people who basically run the downtown area, it's going to cause commuter problems. They're going to have to commute in to get to work every day.
I'm a representative of the ESAD Neighborhood Association, which is this neighborhood here east of 3rd Street and Atwater, and we're bounded on the other side by 2nd Street. And we have a very active neighborhood association and have for the last 10, 12 years. And all of us are interested in not just voting in elections, but participating in government in a constructive way. And we feel that we have input to give the city over this issue of turning Clifton into a main turnoff for Atwater onto 3rd Street, which is what they want to do. Changing it from Mitchell, where the turnoff is now. We have found out that 11,000 cars go up Atwater every day, which is a very large number of cars for a neighborhood this small, and for a city that's relatively small. we're trying to influence the city to see that this would be an adverse move on a small and very nice neighborhood. There are a lot of retired faculty here. There are a lot of active faculty, and there's a very large number of students who live in this neighborhood. So it isn't, it's a homogeneous neighborhood, but we have a nice age spread, and we all get along extremely well, and it's a good neighborhood. We don't want to see it destroyed by another 11,000 cars coming into our neighborhood, which I'm sure everyone could understand and appreciate. We don't like these large trucks on Atwater and on 3rd Street for that matter. We think that the pedestrian traffic is so heavy that it's dangerous.
Hour, you can hardly get across the street. It would be nice if they put at least a light or something where we can cross it, so we
That'd be helpful.
stand here forever, especially up further, you know.
Yeah. So you would think it'd be even stupid. I mean, it wouldn't be a good idea to actually have more cars.
No, I don't think so. Especially not just through traffic. I mean, if it's town traffic, that's one thing. But if they're just going through Bloomington, why can't they just go around it?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a combination.
So if they want more business downtown or something.
No, well, see, there's the bypass that goes on the north side,
Yeah.
and there's nothing really on the south side. Although, I guess originally they had planned to have a bypass go around the south too, but instead of that, I guess they figure that'll cost more money to do.
Yeah.
They just want to widen some streets down there and have this be the.
That would be a pain, I think, especially on like football weekends and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already really busy.
Yeah.
So the environment is adversely affected by the number of cars, by the noise level, which you can hear right now, I'm sure, the cars going up Atwater. So basically, right now, the city is meeting with us. They've been very responsive. We're going to appear before City Council next week. A resolution has been prepared by Pam Service, Iris Kiesling, and Jim Regester, asking that the city further investigate this turnoff that they're preparing to change. The cost involved, the city says, is about between $300,000 and $400,000 difference between the two plans, which is improving Mitchell or changing to Clifton. If they change to Clifton, they would take down between 3 and 5 houses, and we feel that would be a very large impact. Also, we have a large vacant lot on Atwater that the university owns that a number of people would like to see turned into a park. It's a large green area. It's right over there behind the Barker's house, which is the house facing us now. And it's been vacant for a number of, I think the university's owned it for about 20 years. And we'd like to see it made into a green space, a small park, and the city parks and recreation would very much like to see it that way as well. Instead of the city confiscating the land and widening or using it to widen Atwater, which they basically see as lowering their costs by being able to take that land because there are no houses around. So what we're hoping for is that we'll be able to participate in the decision-making process. We'd like to have the city take a long look at what they're planning to do and maybe reconsider it, that in everybody's long-range best interest that they consider another option. than using Atwater as a main thoroughfare for what is basically a very small town, bringing it through the city itself. Last spring, I saw a female student hit on 3rd Street in the traffic, and it made quite an impression on me. And I'd like to see the city cut the traffic, not increase the traffic. That would be my goal.
Edmondson, Professor Emeritus of Astronomy. I retired 6 years ago, but I still work 5 days a week in my office in Swain Hall, and I cross 3rd Street and Atwater 4 times a day. And I think in my life I am every time I do it. Now, one thing I've noticed here on 3rd Street recently is the speed has gone up.
Did you know that the city wants to have even more traffic come through here? They want to make this a thoroughfare going all the way through town.
I've heard about that. I think that's a terrible thing. I don't approve of that at all. Now, as far as Atwater is concerned, in general, the traffic is worse on Atwater and faster. And the thing that bugs me when I'm crossing the street, to see somebody change into the lane I'm going to step into and speed up. Sometimes I think they're aiming right at me.
Well, I just think it's really sad, you know, what's happened to the south side of the square here. I used to live actually on the other side of this building right here, this corner building. I'd say there were probably 30 or 40 artists living in the building, if not more. It definitely varied from time to time how many people were actually living in the building. There were up to at least 10 bands practicing in this whole complex, this whole corner complex here. It was a great community of artists, you know. It was like we all worked together and separately, but at least we had a common space, a common ground. It was really nice having a lot of bands all in the area practicing at the same time, because it wasn't a distraction to have more than one band practicing, and actually since there was a lot of musical interaction going on, a lot of people playing and sitting in with other bands and helping people write material, and music was only one part of it too. There was a whole writer's workshop that went on the roof of the building. That was after I had already left, but that was probably actually toward the golden age of the whole corner. The whole south side of the square was all decaying buildings, very cheap rent, real easy for artists to afford for studios or for living. And basically the artists moved into the decaying framework of the building and kind of started fixing it up a little bit. Now, not fixing it up in the sense of cleaning it up, but fixing it up in the sense that making it livable, you know, workable places. It was kind of like the artists moved in, kind of got everything going on the south side of the square, and then you know, once Mr. Cook and all the people in power saw what was going on, they decided they wanted it back, you know, and they decided they wanted to move back in on our territory after we'd kind of already set it up, you know, and got things rolling. It's kind of like, you know, the kid with a toy he never plays with, you know, and it just lays around all the time, and then one day as one of his friends comes over and picks up the toy and starts really having a good time with it, it kind of pisses the kid off a little bit, you know, and he wants, you know, usually like, you know, all right, give me that back, you know. And, even though he'd never played with it ever before, you know, all of a sudden he wants it back, you know, because it's a real possession thing. So it was like, it was really a great period, you know, and you know, I would dare to call it, you know, an artistic renaissance in Bloomington, just because so many people were all, you know, kind of tightly packed together into these buildings and all working together so much. Like once the gentrification started and they started kicking people out, everything changed, like within the artistic community. I mean, there wasn't as much dialogue between artists. There wasn't places where artists could get together and do performances, or even places where artists could get together to practice their work. So it really totally threw a monkey wrench into the whole artistic community, at least the more radical artistic community, which, as far as I'm concerned, is the artistic community. Original music and written, you know, poets and writers in the community, I think it hurt it quite a bit. I don't think anybody really planned to like have an artistic community here, but it sort of happened that way. You know, I mean, it's sort of just like the rents were low enough, the building was, you know, unused enough that it was just easy for, it was sort of like once a few people moved in, then more people moved in, and then it just kind of like blossomed into this, you know, really great chapter in Bloomington history, you know, that's gone now.
My name is John Byers. I've lived in Bloomington and Monroe County since 1972. I'm concerned about the tax abatements that have been given to companies that are moving into Bloomington and also existing companies. I feel that the strain that's placed on the infrastructure is not going to be paid for if the people that are using the infrastructure don't pay taxes. Most specifically, I believe a tax abatement was granted to Coca-Cola. I'm not sure if they brought in any new jobs, but they were an existing company that was here in Bloomington that simply changed the location. I don't feel that's right. I think everybody should pay their fair share. Property owners have to pay taxes on their houses, the general public. It's not right that companies that are providing maybe at best above minimum wage jobs, but certainly there's a lot that are providing only minimum wage jobs. It's not right that they should not pay taxes. It's not really fair for me to say that Bloomington shouldn't expand and grow. It'd be nice if it could stay provincial and quaint. It's a lovely place the way it is right now, but I'd rather it didn't develop. But at least I'd like to see that the jobs that come into Bloomington have, you know, a high enough wage that the people that get these jobs are able to afford to buy their own homes, are able to enjoy life a little better than a minimum wage job would provide. Minimum wage jobs just lock you into continually paying rent to somebody. You're never going to gain any equity. It's a no-win situation, and I feel for people that have had minimum wage jobs. I've had a lot of them. I was here for a number of years working in restaurants, working construction at basically subhuman levels, and it's an unfortunate situation to be in. I think the leaders of our community, the commissioners, the city councils, should carefully seek out and encourage those employers that are going to be able to offer a decent standard of living to their employees.
You know, since we've been talking about the industry and that Bloomington is doing all this growing, you know what I mean, and they're throwing up prefab apartments, you know, they're throwing up fast food restaurants, you know, galore. you know, but they're not doing anything industrial minded for these people that is going to pay them a wage, you know, that is going to make them capable of taking care of oneself adequately.
The song is called Town for Sale. Lock the curtains, turn out the light. We're gonna get fucked up tonight. We don't want to look outside. We came in here to drink and hide. Our town is being bought and sold. The corporate world is taking here. Old McDonald's everywhere you turn. My eyes sting from neon burn. This town has lots of soul, no more rock and roll. Nothing quaint, nothing nice. Bloomington's in a corporate vice. PCBs in the air of the city council. They don't care. Prefab apartments built in haste. The water's thick with toxic waste. This town has lots of soul, no more rock and roll. Nothing quaint, nothing nice. Bloomington's in a corporate vice. The new leaders of this town think complaints like mine are funny. Their motto is build everywhere to bring in jobs and money. Well, now there are lots of jobs and lots of neon cash and more prefab apartments like an ugly rash. The town's changed.
You know, the way I feel about the roads, I'll tell you how I feel a little bit about that. You know, they're saying they're going to tear houses down to widen roads, and there's a problem with housing already. So they tear down houses and build roads, and they don't even take too good a care of the roads we got. I mean, you can bust your tires, tear your tie rod ends off, everything in these city streets, you know. So what's the point to tear houses down to build roads?
I really like this house. It's really nice. It's really pretty. I enjoy living here. It's a nice central location. But they're tearing it down to build a parking lot for the church in January, and that means that I'm gonna have to find someplace else to live, and I don't know where I'm gonna live yet.
Hi folks, my name is Michael White, and I've been in this neighborhood a long time, since about 1975. Let me show you how it's changed a little bit. Right over here used to be kind of a nice, well, there used to be some nice kind of island of trees over here and like a lawn, and now as you can see it's been sort of laid out with this sort of like bunker mentality of parking lot. Part of the fun in trying to walk these areas you've always walked is you have to kind of cross here. You can either like vault this thing like this, or you can place your foot just right down here so that you can stay up, you know, like level. And a lot of times you'll be doing this with groceries and stuff, and it's kind of it's a pain. It's kind of ugly. You know, it's a really unfortunate way of developing this area. I'm not sure if you can see up there a little bit further, but to kind of direct cars, again, part of the tasteful nature with which this was developed. There's this big black arrow up here. That's supposedly to show you that that's the way to go out. And I don't know. Again, it could have been done a lot better than just painting a big black arrow on the side of a stately old building like that. This, by the way, was originally back when I first came here. This was originally a building that had it was like families that lived there. The one closer to my house, which is just on the other side, a woman by the name of Priscilla lived there for over 30 years. When the new owner bought this building, he subdivided it, raised all the rents, so much that she had to move out. Just head on across here. You can see now here. This was where the owner there. This was a lawn at one point, and the owner had decided he wanted to build a road around this house for access. And you can see it's still gravel. Come on a little further. I'll show you something else now. Back here, you can see the remnants of a road. He just started digging this one day down through here, and there's still gravel left over, and he didn't consult the owner of the building here, who actually lives next door. And again, it was just this sort of mentality. Let's just develop. Let's go ahead and bring in the road scrapers and just kind of, you know, let's make a road. Right there, you can see. I'm not sure you can see the cracked step there. Somebody did try driving a car up here and wanged into the steps, and you can see it's broken there from a car trying to come up through there. This is the oldest house on this end of town. This house is probably 150 years old. And it was actually turned the other way and on, I guess what was then Dunn Street. There was like a yard there. Then they built this other house here. Over here, as long as we're here, there used to be like a regular parking lot, and right back there was a really nice old white house. It was in really good shape. But again, the folks, I guess IU owned it, and they decided they wanted to flatten it and build this parking garage. I almost moved out. You know, like I said, I lived here since '75, and when this thing started going up, I mean, they were like, you know, 7 in the morning every morning, Sundays a lot of times, in here with the jackhammers, and it was really a problem. I complained to the folks at IU about, you know, violation of noise ordinances, things like that. But they said, you know, sorry, we're above that. It's quiet now. That's the way I like it. Let's head on this way just a little bit, and I'll show you a little bit more of the old neighborhood. There were two beautiful old trees here, and one in the back of the house too. Beautiful stately trees. The owner of the area here ultimately cut them down because they thought it was going to be like too much, too dangerous, that a limb would fall on a car or something. So, you know, some of these older trees, I think of them like neighbors anyway. I'm sorry to see them go when they do go. All along here there were large trees. All along here were poplar trees. That's why they call this building the Poplars. Poplar trees. They all died and they never replanted those. Now, going back to these houses right crossing Dunn Street. Okay, in here is where we really get to the crux of this whole kind of development mentality. There were these beautiful old houses. They were unoccupied. I guess the university owned them. And they were like, I think they were either two, I kind of forget now, you know. They were 2 or 3 houses here, and on this side, there were another 2 houses there. And I've been in the neighborhood a long time. You become aware of a nice property, and I thought, well, this might be a nice place to fix up, to make as a residence, perhaps even a business location. And I called the university on several occasions, and they informed me that they were going to take care of those and landscape those areas. Landscape them. Well, you can see here, the landscaping is complete with asphalt and plenty of parked cars. Landscaping. They're called parking lots. So that's politics, I think, is what they call that. Anyway, I really don't care for it very much. I mean, these were nice old homes. They could have been fixed up. Could have been used for, you know, homeless shelters. You know, a variety of things. But now they're parking lots. Anyway, I'm real sorry to see a lot of the changes here. This White House over here, historic in some ways. I guess Hoagie Carmichael used to do a lot of his writing over there, and there was also some brutal murder there years ago. Some guy shot in the basement with a shotgun, and they tossed him over a bridge. Anyway, neighborhood full of history, and it's just really too bad when, you know, a large sort of corporate mentality organization like the university comes in and, you know, flattens houses and builds parking lots. Real sorry to see it happen. I mean, the neighborhood has changed a lot. And I think when you lose a lot of that sort of neighborhood quality, you know, people begin to treat the neighborhood like it's a parking lot. You know, there's a lot more trash in the neighborhood. I don't know, it's not the same place, and I'm really sorry to see it go.
The way the south side of town has grown in the past 5 years, I mean, south side of town, you take your life in your own hands anymore.
That's true.
You can't get anywhere.
Can't get in and out.
And again, it's a lot of those smaller businesses, you know what I mean? I mean, you know, you have Burger King out there, you know, you have those little video malls, you know, that are in the places, complexes for dentists, you know, people in the professional status. But, you know, yeah, it's grew up, but it's grew up to what? And who is really, you know, prospering from that?
Yeah.
And I think that that's just the way that they want it in Bloomington, because, you know, a lot of their stuff is built around, you know, the university, because this is a university town, and the influx of 33,000 people in here, you know.
Does a lot for the town.
It does a lot for the town and for the businesses.
But it doesn't look like they have a plan. You know what I mean? That's.
Oh, I'm sure they do. But it's
plan to make more money.
Yeah, but what's their plan? I mean, they're going to tear houses down and build a road.
But it's 20 years behind.
And when school starts, they got kids sleeping in the canteens, you know, because there's not enough room for them. That's I can't understand it. You know, they ought to go up on West 11th Street, and if they want to grow and if they want to cut a few trees down or something, they ought to build some more adequate housing for the poor people on the west side.
Yeah.
You know, instead of putting in a burger chef or something, you know. You can go out west of town, you go across, you go past Corey Lane, it used to be all farm, all farm. McDonald's is where a hog farm used to be, Kmart's where a farm used to be, everything was farm, you know. You got a hamburger joint here, a hamburger joint here, and a hamburger joint here.
Fried chicken place
Fried
here,
chicken
you
place,
know.
you got a
A
roast
Bob
beef
Evans
place,
over here, you know. And these are all jobs that are paying, you know, people nothing. And the employers expect you to work at a minimum wage like they were paying you $10, and it's a disgrace.
And they'll put in a they'll put in a factory and they won't fix the roads going to it.
Yeah.
You know, they'll tear a road up, building a place, and then they're forever doing anything about what they've done to destroy it. You know what I mean? It don't make sense. Well, they want to tear all the trees down for it. I gotta go out there and tree me some coons. If you keep cutting all the trees down, I keep having to go. And nothing north, nothing north. They don't touch nothing north.
And they've done loaded up on the east side. They don't need to build another thing out there, because I just got a feeling that one of these days that's all going to be one great huge crater, you know, where everything's done sunk down in it. Because what more can they put out there? They have a bad problem with sewer and drainage out there because they stuffed every little thing that they can get up in there. Every businessman wants to be out to the mall because that's where everybody goes out there to shop. You know, and so they just keep building and building.
Yeah,
Traffic is congestion out there. On Friday night, you know, you have to go out there and nearly put a gun to somebody and tell them to get out of the parking space to be able to park. You know what I mean?
And when they spend all of our money building streets, widening streets. Why don't they build a street that with an overpass that you can go through when it rains? The water's not over the top of your car, and you had to get out and leave your car. You know, man, you've seen it in the paper. That woman right in it. That's a brand new road. It was totally
they were down here on Kirkwood in
You know,
canoes and kayaks.
What's the drainage system around here like?
I mean, did you see that in the paper?
Money to clean some of these drains out. You know?
I would expect somebody to bring an outboard out there and have somebody out there skiing.
You seen down on
seriously,
Kirkwood,
you know.
people in boats, man, riding around.
Yeah.
We'll be
And they wanted
connected to
tear
Nashville
streets. They
soon.
wanted to tear houses down to build streets. They better put in some canals. They better do.
Some aqueducts or something, you know, because it's really pitiful. It really is. And I don't know what long term, but like I say, if they're going to do anything to Bloomington, like I tell them, and they need to bring jobs here. They put one more fast food place out here.
We have tech.
I'd sooner see them build a maximum security prison as to build another hamburger joint. That'll create quite a few jobs.
The thing with them, when they keep putting in hamburger places, they go out of business. GD Ritzy's, and you know, they have one.
You wind up with an empty building.
That's right.
You know, I've lived here for 38 years. And they build up the east side and build it up and build it up and build it up. Well, before, if I wanted to go shopping to Kmart or something like that, I had to go to the east side. But now that they build a Kmart on the west side, and they got a Big Lots, I don't have any reason other than going to work to go to the east side of town. So they can however they widen the road's not going to affect me. You know, they could tear every house down through there, but that wouldn't be right. You know, just because something don't affect you directly, that don't mean you should sit back and keep your mouth shut, because it's going to affect a lot of people.
But like I said, they're having a problem. They're going to always, until they get big money, to be able to implement a proper highway and road system in Bloomington. I mean, right now it's so bad and so congested as far as traffic goes.
And they're talking about building highways to link Bloomington to Evansville, and so Evansville will be linked to Indianapolis. And they build these roads, and then they tear everything up along those roads, cut out trees, cut out farmland to develop it. They got to have gas stations, they got to have restaurants, they got to have everything.
You got everything except what you need.
You know, where you got eggs, they probably sell hamburgers.
Where what?
Where you bought your eggs when you was a kid, they probably sell hamburgers.
It's apartment buildings.
Apartment.
I think this particular location is a very good example of the differences in the way the community examines opportunities for use of its space. Here we have a wooded and rolling meadow area, which has been this way from the beginning of this community, which has a very nice stand of trees, which have, while they are probably not any first growth, have certainly not been logged for some period of time. Provides a very nice natural setting, and it is an opportunity on the one hand to maintain it as a open natural green space, becoming available to those who need and desire that kind of amenity in their community. And on the other hand, it is an opportunity to provide commercial space for a growing population. And the question becomes, is this particular space better suited for the commercial opportunity or for the opportunity to maintain a natural setting? It is without question a unique piece of property in the Bloomington area. It's because it's unique that we have a controversy over how it might best be used. We find ourselves again in the position of placing a great amount of commercial retail development in an area of the city which has a very poor capacity to handle the traffic that it generates. The City Council is about to commit itself to spending a tremendous amount of money to move traffic in and out of this area. It has left open the question of how we deal with the management of traffic along the southern corridor, where it's becoming more and more of a problem. We have some commercial development on the west side of town, where with the four-laning of 37 we have a much better capacity to handle regional traffic. So here we are building a regional shopping center in that part of the community which is least capable of handling regional traffic. It is now zoned such that the proposed activity is not allowed. So the question becomes, do we change the zoning so that we can take it, so that individuals can take advantage of a different opportunity than the opportunity that exists right now?
You can look at all these issues on a broader scale of citywide and countywide. Are we just going to let development pave over, moving ever outward until there's no green space left? It's not that this particular few acres is so critical in itself. It may be real useful given its location. It's really the issue is if this one goes and that one goes and that one goes, pretty soon there are no green spaces left. We're used to living in a rural county with farms, pasture land, trees, wooded slopes. When that all becomes paved over with malls and residential developments, we're not going to live in a rural county anymore. We might as well live in a suburb of Indianapolis. Quality Growth thinks it's important that we preserve some of the unique qualities of our community, that we do some planning about preserving some of this green space before it's all gone. Other questions: do we want to become a regional shopping center, pulling traffic in from all of South Central Indiana, creating traffic problems, creating additional tax burdens to improve the roads and so forth to accommodate that traffic? What does that get us as a community? It gets us a lot of minimum wage jobs, a lot of traffic. I'm not sure that's the kind of development that we want. We're one of the nicest communities in the whole country to live in. People want to move here. Industries want to move where their professionals want to live. We should try to develop that kind of professional, research-oriented or high-level professional or the kinds of jobs that the people in this community need. We don't need more minimum wage jobs. We have an underemployed population that's overtrained for the positions that they're in. So we need more professional opportunities. We need more blue-collar labor jobs that pay more than $4 or $5 an hour. And using our land up to bring in more shopping centers is not going to provide that kind of quality development that we need in this community. So those are the kinds of concerns that our group Quality Growth is trying to address.
If we want quality in our community, we have to demand quality in our community. If the quality of the community had been maintained over this lengthy period of time in the last 20 to 30 years, there would not be the concern at this point in time which would have led to the development and creation of a group like Quality Growth. There would have been no need for it. We have a fairly low unemployment level, but we have a terrible housing affordability index, as they call it. We seem to find low-paying jobs for people, which means that those who are less skilled have no jobs at all and don't even become unemployed because they're not applying for any kind of benefits. They're simply out of the job market altogether. We don't have the kinds of opportunities that once existed to enjoy the open spaces around us, which we need to maintain. So in an attempt to maintain opportunities for everyone in the community, we need to make some fundamental changes in the way we view the growth process in the community, so that we are not alienating successively more and more people of the community so that a few may benefit, particularly a few that are not here benefiting considerably from what we lose.
And so to cause all this to happen, what we need is a new master plan. The current master plan for the city of Bloomington, 1972, the county's never really had a complete master plan. And both entities, city and county, are now in the process of developing new plans. It's a very important process. Citizens can get involved and indicate the future direction of the community that they'd like to see, the way that the community grows and the future, what it should look like in 20 years. And we think that this planning process, both for land use, but then transportation planning, spending planning, where are we going to come up with the money 5 years from now to provide the infrastructure, the roads and sewers and electricity and so forth as the whole area grows. All that has to be planned out. And only once you have a plan like that in place can you make reasonable decisions about what should we do with this opportunity. Is this most appropriate a mall? Is this most appropriate left as green space? Or should that over there be left as the green space? We need a comprehensive plan. And until that plan's in place, making these piecemeal decisions is just giving up opportunities. And so Quality Growth is asked basically that we shouldn't be rezoning major chunks of land like that until we can get these new master plans in place so we can see how all the pieces fit into the total puzzle. And the City Planning Commission agreed with us and passed a resolution in June saying we should be cautious and conservative in considering significant rezoning. And so in terms of this particular proposal, we're not saying it's a good or bad proposal at this time, but what we're saying is this is the wrong time for this kind of proposal. We need these master plans in place before we can make these kinds of decisions as a community.
I'm standing on lot 111, Barclay Gardens. It's on Miller Drive on the south side of town. This lot was owned by the City Redevelopment, and one day in February, the city crew came out here with chainsaws in hand and proceeded to devastate this lot. They were supposed to clean up, and what they actually did was come out with chainsaws and start cutting the trees. Well, I promptly called the city and tried to find out what was going on. And since then, I've been lucky enough to purchase the property. And as you can see, I've made improvements on it. I've got a small nursery started, I've got the beginnings of a little herb garden, and I plan to do more landscaping on this property. Fortunately, I live next door to this lot, and I saw what the city was doing to this lot, which I thought was disgusting. And I wonder how many other times across this city and across this country does this happen to property, where a piece of property, a beautiful piece of property, is ravished by people that really don't have any right to do this. It's owned by all of us, and besides being owned by all of us, we do have a mayor in town that has a green policy to keep the trees, to plant more trees, and this is contrary to her own policy. And this is city administration cutting trees on one hand, and city administration on the other hand saying that we're going to keep the trees. So these two just don't jive up.
These landlords are building all the, look at Varsity Villas. I mean, that's another city back in there where they just stack up on top of each other. You know, because they know that they can move 5 or 6 of them in there and get $200 a piece and make big money every month. I mean, it's just loaded with apartment houses, and none that, you know, a family wishing to move into one could even afford. You know,
and trailers,
right?
Trailer court. You know,
they're not going to make it so easy for them to put them trailers out
right,
anymore.
And you know, trailers are good, affordable living. You know what I mean?
It had to be out living more.
Good, affordable place to live. If you can find just a little piece of ground to be. You know, but they won't just let you do that, but they can tear down 10 acres of trees and ground to build a hamburger joint or something. You know what? I can't understand it.
It's just another thing. It's just, and it's just not here in Bloomington, but everybody is being faced with this problem. I mean, in this society, Dave, it's about housing, affordable housing. It's about jobs. It's about the environment. You know, it's about high technology and where it's taking us. You know, you see us, the landscape of the earth changing, you know, because of business, you know, and industry. You see trees what they're trying to say now is, what other alternative? You know, we're in the 90s now, you might as well say, with everything speeding up so fast, everybody moving fast, not having the time to take stock and to take notice, or even let alone time to do anything well, because everything is moving so fast.
Right. And
you know, you have people who are not socially conscious, you know. You have people who would rather let other people do the work for them, go to community meetings, you know, go to municipal meetings, you know, city meetings, whatever, you know, to become involved, you know, like with the PCB thing. We just don't have enough people who are active, yet all these things that are happening are facing people who should be, you know, in there helping, you know, cure whatever problem that there is, instead of waiting for somebody to do it for them. So that you don't have a lot of people who are socially conscious moving to the forefront. You got all the people, the city planners and all these businessmen, you know, who are making, you know, all of these decisions that are affecting people out here in these areas.
True.
You know, and people are letting them, because people are not politically or socially conscious enough, you know, to do anything about it. So you got a problem, you know, and it's gonna, like I said, you hear a lot of talk, and that's all that it's always been. You know, that's what a lot of politics is coming. But yet, you know, you got everybody around this globe that is hollering about, you know, being able to live and to make it in this, you know, this world. And it just so happens that we have that right here in this little bitty place called Bloomington, Indiana.
Mm-hmm. That's,
you know?
That's right. Because if
they
they want to widen that street over here, and they want all them houses, they're going to get them. Ain't a damn thing you can do about it. You can stand out there in front of the bulldozer and they'll run over. They wanted to build Lake Monroe. They built it. They was people held out with shotguns, but they still bulldozed the house. Damn.
They came in with the active
domain.
They went in. They gave those people what the state wanted to offer them, and either they take it or they was going to take it.
You better take it, or the offer might get lower.
It's the same way with the bypass. When they put the bypass in Bloomington, a lot of houses were lost in property, you know, and a lot of those people complained because they weren't getting what they thought they should get for their property, and it didn't matter. They just went in and they just took it. So the question is, you know, it's always been the question, what you gonna do?
What we're seeing is more and more a concentration of community resources to provide opportunities for a very small segment of the community. And we need to establish a means for maintaining and expanding opportunities for all of the community. It is a very difficult thing to do. It is the most difficult thing that a community is charged with.
But we can do it.
We can do it.
We can have bicycle lanes. We can have better sidewalks. We can have better, more integrated public transportation. So we can get away from this focus of having to use an automobile to get around town. I mean, we're becoming an ordinary community. And we aren't an ordinary community. We're a very special, wonderful place to live. And we'd like to see it remain a special place to live, continue to grow, continue to change, to be a dynamic community, but growing in ways that enhance the quality of life for all the members of the community.
There has been a fundamental change in the way communities have been able to solve their problems. We had a lot of federal aid for a while. We had a revenue sharing program for a while. We had more assistance from the state for a while. All of those seem to be diminishing in time, and yet we have not created locally a mechanism which allows us to change in terms of how we now generate the funds which we got from others before. If the trend at the federal level and the state level is to privatize, certainly then we as a community, whether we want to or not, are going to have to privatize many of these costs simply because there will be no other mechanism for us. We cannot as a community continue to support the cost of growth without making the growth segment of the community pay its appropriate share. There is enough maintenance in our community to spend every tax dollar we can ever collect. It is difficult to do any of the maintenance in light of the extreme costs that many of these growth-related problems present for us.
You know, I don't think we can change the past. We can't change what's happened in the last 20 years, but we need to be forward-looking, and we need to start putting those types of mechanisms that Dick mentioned into place now, so that as these problems come up 10 or 15 years from now, we've dealt with them now and we've looked forward. There's really nobody to blame in all this. It's not anybody's fault. It's just that we've sort of as a community neglected what's going on in our community, I think, for the last 15 or 20 years, and that we need a renewed interest by all the citizens to get involved in the community decisions and see that this community is moving in the direction that I think more or less we all want it to go. We all see the negative effects of the kind of growth we've had the last 15 years, the increased traffic, the increased strip development, and we need to stand up and say we demand quality in our community, and we have the talent and the leadership and the potential involvement of our citizens here to make all this happen. But we need to be creative, we need to be involved, but I think we can do it, or else I wouldn't be working with quality growth.
We have to do it. I mean, I'm protecting an investment in my community. I have a home here, I have a business here. This is where I want to live. I don't want to be run out of here because I failed to do something which made it the kind of place I want to raise my children and I want to live. I'm committed to Bloomington, and I want everybody else to be committed. I think we have an opportunity here which is unique, and I don't think we ought to sell ourselves short in the long term. We can do a great deal in small ways to promote the kind of community we want to live in. But it's not going to happen unless we begin to move as a community and less as individuals in terms of taking advantage of opportunities that exist.
And a lot of the things that when we were children growing up that have disappeared, that I've been somewhat sad to see disappear, only because you know, it was there when you were a child and you grow up, you see that it's no longer there, and it will never be again, and those type of things that are happening. But I think that if we're going to talk about the development of a town, then you have to talk about the development of everybody, and not just the development of a few. And I think that that's where they are going to have to zero in on. They're going to have to zero in on the seeking and job training of those that are socially disadvantaged within this community. And they're going to have to be serious about it.
The south side of town, I've lived on the south side of town for, gosh, 25, 26 years. And I can remember when you crossed Grimes Lane, there was nothing. And now it's like Beck's Corner, just everything. The road's lined with car dealership, hamburger stand. We've got 6 banks within a block and a half of each other down here now. And the road's not any bigger. I mean, there's a guy down there that's got 3 car dealerships in a row down there now, and what have they got? I mean, they put a 20-foot turn lane off the side of the road. It's just, they're building housing development down there, $200,000-300,000 homes. Well, I guess there's people buying them now, but you know.
And then
someday, you know, they're going to get to the point where, well, we've run out of people with that type of money. What are we going to do with it now?
That could be like the west side of town. As far as I'm concerned, the west side of town has always been, since I've known it, a place that was technically looked over. You know, those people have had to fight for anything that they've ever had over decent sidewalks. You know what I mean? Where they need to build that side up just like they're building the rest of the town up. If they're talking about enhancing the whole community, and they don't want to do anything over on this side because certain members of this community live over there or whatever, you know, and they don't have a strong lobbying force outside of a few people who are very politically aware over there that are doing the battle, you know, for people.
I remember when all of this entire 2 acres used to be farmland. When I was growing up, there was a house over here where Hardee's is now. We used to buy our eggs over here. There was a farmer. What's really unfortunate is the takeover of the entire land by corporations rather than small town businesses. Rather than being a pleasant place to come and shop or get something to eat, I really dread coming over here and get depressed every time I have to go to the mall. It really depresses me. It's also another problem is I don't have a car. I ride my bike everywhere, and trying to get access to the mall without any sorts of bike lanes is really difficult. If there were bike lanes, I could ride up 2nd or College Mall Road or 3rd Street somehow, but at the present that's not possible. Not so much out at the mall, but downtown in Bloomington and around the university, there used to be a lot of good restaurants that seem to have been replaced with fast food restaurants. The Gables, which used to be one of the only affordable places at that time for students to eat, has been replaced by Garcia's fast food pizza. It used to be a really attractive building and a nice place to eat.
I used to love this town. Lazy walks at night, go swimming in a quarry hole. The stars once shined so bright. The new leaders of this town think complaints like mine are funny. Their motto is build everywhere to bring in jobs and money. Well, now there's lots of jobs and lots of neon cash and more prefab apartments like an ugly rash.
But you know, if they were ever going to build another big mall, you know, it should be out west.
Well, they don't want them building it on the north side. I mean, what was the deal with the people with the cafeteria out there here a couple, 3 years ago? They don't want people driving in from the north getting that image of Bloomington that, you know, we're just, let's leave it green and pretty out there.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, eventually that's going to be ate up. Everything's being ate up. Hell, you know, if they're in the rainforest in Borneo, how long do you think it's going to take them to get out there on North Highway 37? I mean, it's just encroaching development. You know, it's a side of things to come. You know, and they're going to have to cut down a lot more things and move a lot of other things. It's going to be a change. You know, and you're going to see a lot more trees. You're going to see a lot more concrete. And I don't hardly see if there's anything that can be done about it. You know, I may be a little bit cynic. You know, and I hear people professing and talking a lot of good stuff, but all this stuff is still happening. Not enough people are taking part. And the people start becoming more socially aware and socially conscious, not only about their communities, but the world they live in, forget it. Because ain't nothing going to change. I mean, they were telling them stuff 10 or 15 years ago that was going to, what about this greenhouse effect and about the ozone and about fluorocarbons being emitted into the atmosphere, and they told them this 10 to 15 years ago and they went on. I mean, that's serious. I mean, you have a population, a certain population now of people who were definitely unaware of a lot of things that were happening, and the increasing encroachment of development and technology has made everybody having to open up their eyes somewhat and to find out just exactly where they fit into all of this that is happening, not only as an individual, you know, but as a member of society, you know. And you realize that what are happening to a few can happen to all of us, you know, because it's going to affect all of us. And then, you know, and what are you going to do in 20, 25 years' time? You know, when they've cut down almost everything that they can cut down. They done did everything that they have done, and all in the name of progress, you know, progressing. But who has progressed, you know, who has profited from all of that? It's definitely not the people over, you know, on certain segments of this community that are still sitting over waiting for some change, especially ones that are positive that benefit them, you know. You don't see that, and I mean, that's the story every place, though. It's just not here. We just, like I said, we're just one little spot in this, you know, this whole little globe here, but, you know, we live here and the people are concerned about it. You know, even for myself, when I think about this, definitely because, you know, that I have children and I am concerned about my children's future and how everything is going to affect them. But I do think that as individuals, as parents, as spouses, you know, as friends, as members of the community worldwide, I think that we all need to start getting involved. I think we all need to start becoming more aware, you know, of not only our own individual situations, but, you know, the situation that is facing all of us, you know, as a whole. And until people get to the point of where they are taking part, they are becoming more vocal about things, they are becoming more aware of their own, of the problems, nothing's going to get done, because we're just leaving it for other people, you know, to do the jobs on something that we should be taking part in. And then when things don't go right, or a decision was made and things get started, we start complaining about it. That's the wrong time to complain about things when they've already been put into action. Where were you when it was at its infancy stage and it was being debated? You know, where were all those troops that should have been marching in, having something to say? And the people that are taking part, those are the ones that are getting worked to death. Those are the ones that are, you know, in political groups. They are people who are writing letters to congressmen and senators. They are people who are going up, you know, to the state house, you know, to the legislature. But you don't have enough of those people. And until that happens, everything is going to go as on schedule. They're still going to be making, you know, decisions, you know. They're still going to make decisions that are going to affect all of us, that's going to affect, you know, what we do and where we're going to be in the future.
We have this green brochure, and there's a great deal of information in here. It shows the street improvements and how these street improvements will improve the traffic flow, and also how these street improvements fit into our long-range plans. And I know that Iris and other council members have emphasized that we need to address how these improvements fit our overall plans and how they fit our long-range plans, 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 our